cloud. Okay, and share my screen. Okay, any questions from yesterday from anyone? Let me make sure my chat is open again. Is everyone able to finish the creation of the database and everything? Are you guys all good? Or is there anyone who's not able to finish? Okay, I'm assuming that everyone is able to finish then and you guys are ready for the next session. As I mentioned in the WhatsApp group, because you are all computer science final year students, you know HTML and database. So we could combine those two sessions yesterday. I think PHP is something is new. As I mentioned, it's being used in most of the websites. 80% of the websites are WordPress, and that uses PHP. So it's a good skill to learn. Also, if you guys are interested in, I think we have a few, or actually several internships available starting later this month. So knowing PHP, OpenGen AI, etc. So we have a few projects there. So that would be good to learn. So today what we are going to do is, today's class, you will create a index file, which would do something like this. Select a book to chat. You'd be able to upload a new book on your server, and then you'll be able to select a book and you'll be able to chat with that book by sending a question here. Right? This is what we'll try to accomplish today. And hopefully we will finish all of this in next 1.5 hours. And then we will call it a day, and that would be the last session today. Okay, but if there are questions, so you guys are on the WhatsApp group and also on email, so feel free to reach out to me if there are any questions. So let's first go to, I think I want to keep the chat open just in case anyone has a question, or maybe I'll open it again later. So go to slideshow. Okay, so like I said, in today's session, we will learn how to upload the book and display them on the website. We'll create an HTML form, handle the form using PHP, and write the book onto the database, and we'll retrieve the book. And then once this is done, we will use the Open API to chat with that book. Okay. Topics covered, HTML form. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look through the links I had sent you for form, for actually PHP. And I believe I had asked form and a few more tags to look if you had a chance. If not, we'll cover them here, and then I'll also give you the code to do that. So the forms are used to collect user input. The tag is form, and then it closes as /form. Each form has an action. So once the user enters something, an action is taken. In this case, we are going to use the action as another file.php. There are two types or ways you can send the parameters to a form. One is post, another is get. Hopefully you have learned that in maybe some other languages which you are using. Post is a secured way to send the inputs from the form, and get is where you actually put the parameter values on the URL. It's not very secure because get actually shows the parameter and the values, and anyone can see them if you are sending them on your URL. Let me keep the chat open in case anyone has a question. And post is more secure. The parameters and the values are not shown to the end user. The way to get the data is the tag is an input. It creates an input field, and the type is a text field. You can give it a name or a label. We are also going to use, so since we are using input, we are going to have a book name and an author and a description. Now, description can be more than a single line of text. So that's why this is a different tag called text area. You can give it a name. You can also, there are certain parameters on each of the tags where you can define the size. Was there a question?
Online तर तो असंच आहे.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you. I think here. Okay, so we will continue. Okay, description, that's the text area. And then we'll also use an image, which is of type file. And then at the end, we'll have a submit button, which actually calls the forms action to take the server-side code. Okay, as I mentioned, there is an input. For text input, there is a text area. For multi-line text input, this is for description. We will also allow a file to be loaded, which is the JPEG file, and then we'll have the button to submit the form. Okay. On the PHP server-side side, we have to handle whatever is entered by the user. So that code, again, you will have the PHP tags. We talked about this yesterday. We have an if condition. If the method is post, just like I mentioned earlier, we'll be using post. We want to take all the parameters that the user had sent into a variable. And if you remember from yesterday, the PHP uses variable equal to the variable has a $, and then the name of the variable, name, author, description. And we'll get the value from the user, which they have entered in a post format. And in PHP, the way it is done is $_post, and whatever the variable is being sent. If it is a get, it will be $_get, and then the variable that is being sent. So we are sending name, author, description, and then also the image file name. For the file, there is a function called move uploaded file, and then we can move that. You had already created a directory yesterday, uploads. That is where we'll be storing the file. If you remember yesterday, we created the table, and we actually did an insert statement. Okay, Shubhat, any questions you have? Oh. Okay, I don't know why. If there is a question, let me know. I'll keep the chat open on the side. So where was I? Yeah, yesterday on the database side, we created a table, and we also used the insert statement, right, to add the data. Today, we'll do the similar thing, but using the input form from the UI. Okay. And then once the user has entered all that information, we have taken it in the PHP. If you remember yesterday, we used the database connection. We used this connection. We created the connection to our database. We had some troubleshooting. And then yesterday, we didn't do an insert statement, but today we are going to use the SQL, create the insert statement, which is in our new table, which is books. We are adding name, author, description, image, which is what the user just entered, and we are giving the values to that. And then we are running that query onto the database. So this is the code we'll write, and as I said, it's always a good practice at the end to close the connection. So we created the connection here, and we are going to close that connection. Okay. So let's do that much, and then we'll come back to retrieve the books. So I am going to walk you through the code again. I think this is the uploads.php. So if you remember from yesterday, let me just walk through what we did yesterday here. We had a simple HTML file we created. Then we created a PHP file. So we said the date today is this. This was inside the HTML, right? And we looked at different tags. Question mark PHP is used to start the PHP, and this is to close the PHP. And then we had our HTML tags also. And then echo is to echo the data. We yesterday also created a database connection, right? And then we did a select ID name author from the book. If you remember, we uploaded the book, the JPEG file. We created a record using insert statement in the database directly. And then we used this to select the data from the books and show it on the user interface. Okay, so today we are going to create this new code. This is where we will be uploading the book. Basically, it will be like this. So this is what we are creating. We'll be able to give a book name. As an example, we will be able to create a book. We give it an author. It's something here. We'll give it a description. And then we'll choose a file. I think let me try. Hopefully I don't have this file already. And then upload. Okay, so this file already exists. So I can come here, file manager. So, actually, I think I'm on a different server of the 2227 here. So if I go back, let me try a different file. Okay, so that file gets uploaded, this data goes into the database, and we'll retrieve this data in the next section. Okay, so for that, as I mentioned, we will connect to our database. This should be your own database, not the one I have, your own password and your own database name. We will create the connection, MySQLi, server name, username, password. And then we first scroll down. We have a form here, HTML head, upload a new book, which is what you're seeing on the left side. Oh, like someone else. Do you have a question on Omkar? Or maybe okay, we stop there. Good. Sorry. Yeah. So we have an H1 tag, which is upload a new book, and then, as I mentioned, the form tag. The form creates this form on the PHP. It has an action, which is uploads.php is the exact name of the PHP file, which it will go and run on the server side. Okay. We have a label, book name, and the input text, which I was just showing on the PowerPoint slide, input type text. It has a variable named name. Similarly, author, and then a text name input type as author. And then description is text area, as I was showing in the PowerPoint. It's a text area description, and then also for an image, which is here. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there is a type submit, and its value is upload book. So you can actually call it whatever you want to submit or upload book, etc. Once this form is created here in uploads.php, it's actually calling action as same file. It's calling the same PHP file when action is performed on upload the book. That code is written on the top of this page. So once this gets clicked, it actually starts using the same PHP file. The first thing, it makes a connection to the database. And if there is a post done, which I showed you earlier, and if you look at the post, here we are telling the method is the post. Okay, so if the post is done, then we take in our own variables each post form value. So this is called name, author, description. That is what we are getting here, and we are storing them into our own variables, name, author, description, and similarly the image. So image we are going to store in uploads/directory and give it a name, and then it will store that name. There is some file checking being done here, and at the end, if you see here, this is the most important thing, is we are making a connection, preparing a statement. I think in your database class you may have studied prepare. I'm hoping so. So prepare a statement. In this case, we are going to insert into the books table. If you remember our books table from yesterday, let me go back here. And PHP my admin. Let me see. Log in again. So in our database yesterday, we had created the table, books table, right? And we had inserted the data. So name, image, author, and description. That's what we manually did that yesterday, but today we are trying to do that through the code. So insert into books, name, author, description, image, and then since we are preparing this statement at runtime, we are giving our variables. If you remember $name, $author, these were these. Right? We are getting the current value from the user and binding those parameters with these variables. And then we are executing the statement. So once you do this, you can go back onto your database and see a new record should get created here. Does it make sense? Any questions from anyone? I'm going to open the chat. Okay, so let's take a few minutes. Okay, so let's take a few minutes. I will send this code. Let me remove my password here so that you create your own password. Actually, and remove this also. So I'm going to put the code here so that you can, and I'll give you about, I think this one would need a little bit extra time for you guys to understand the code, write the code and copy it on your file structure and then run that code, right? So what you would do is you'll take the code, you will come to your public HTML and you will upload the whatever the file was called, uploads.php, right? So you would actually create here, select file, and then you will take that uploads.php file and upload onto your server. Once you're done that, you would come to your website and you'll click /uploads.php, and then when you run that, it should show you this form and you should be able to upload. Okay, so first let me send the file to you because I don't think unless you have studied the PHP today or yesterday, you may not be able to complete the code. But let me put that in here, send it to you guys. And we'll wait about, what is time here, 10:52. So maybe I'll give about 10 minutes for everyone to hands-on do the exercise I just did. Okay, I'll keep this open. As you are doing it, please mention here that you are done. And then if you have any question, either unmute yourself and let me know, or you can write on the chat. As you finish, please put on the chat that you are done. And if you have questions or you need, um, okay, good. One person is done. Okay. Okay, good. Let's give another 5 minutes for others to finish. I think there are about 60 plus students. So while others are still working on it, people who have done it, maybe Pranav, Chinmaya, Himanshu, Shraddha, you guys, I'm sure you have not used PHP earlier, but is there any server-side script you guys have used, like Node.js or Python or anything? Maybe if you want to reply on the chat. Okay, Node.js. That's good. So when we are done today, you can try the same script once we call the API. You can use Node.js to also try the same API call or the endpoint call. Pranav, you can also maybe try using the same calls using Node.js and maybe do some other projects. I had given a few project ideas. I think the debate, creation of a debate tool should be a good project if you guys want to try doing that. Okay, Moon Stack and OpenAI. Okay, so you have used the OpenAI endpoint already, Pranav? Okay, so probably you know maybe you are already ahead for this. Good. Also, as I mentioned, and I'll put it on the WhatsApp group later, today or tomorrow. If you guys are interested, maybe you used, Pranav, you have used OpenAI. If you're interested in doing some internships, let me know. And others also. So we have a few openings. So the only thing is because we'll have to make sure that you have some understanding. So there would be like a test, the test I was talking about. So I would want people to take the test if you're interested. And after that, based on the high score, we'll do some interviews. And then I think we have a few projects. So we have a few openings. Okay, so Shreya, you looks like you have also Sakshi. Okay, so yeah, looks like some of you guys have already used the API key generation, so that would be good. Um, sure. Maybe someone is driving or traveling. I'm going to mute you, Vidya and Gauravi. Please unmute yourself. So how are other guys doing? I see about 60 plus folks, students in this. Is anyone still working on it? Should we give a couple more minutes? Let's do that. I'll give a few more minutes. Also, at the end of the course, again, either today or tomorrow, because it's going to be my midnight up when we finish the course. So maybe I'll send it to you later, um, end of day, just like a feedback form on what do you think about the course. We may try to do it for, I think you guys are all final year students, but maybe the younger students may not know HTML databases so much, but I still wanted to know your feedback on the course material and structure, etc. I see there is a question: at what time when we created the chatbot, $5 was free on the account? The chatbot. Sorry, Pranav, I didn't get your question. What time when I created the chat bot? At that time, okay, you're saying at that time when you created the chat bot, $5 were free. Yeah. I think earlier they had it free, and now that probably if you have used it for some time, now they are starting to charge that $5. That minimum is $5. Of course, you may not have to use all of that, at least for the course. So, Pranav, let me ask a question. Are you able to see 4.0 on your account, or are you still seeing 3.5 on? That is strange. What I have seen is when people add the credit card, if they don't log out and log back in, it still shows the old version, but I'm sure you have already logged out once. If not, maybe try that. That I've seen a few times that happening. You log in back, that's when your whatever the amount you added, that is when it shows up when you log in again. Okay. I'm assuming others are either not interacting here or something else going on, but just in the interest of time and for the folks who have already finished, I'm going to continue to the next step now. Okay? Okay. So let's go to our PowerPoint slide. Okay. So make this bigger from current slide. I'm going to move this on the side. So now that we have uploaded a book, we tried a few different ways, right? So we created the database yesterday. We inserted a record manually in the database. Today we created a user interface to allow the user to enter a book and its image, etc. Right? Now we want to display that book. We displayed it yesterday using the manually entered book. But today we are going to create an index file where we'll show all the books which are in your database. By now, at least two should be there. One you entered yesterday and one you should have entered today. You could have entered more today. So all those books should be shown in a drop-down list. Right? So we will select name, author, description from the book. We'll run that query. And if the results are greater than 0, then while those rows are fetching the data, we are going to show that. And we are also going to show it in an actually drop-down box. So this is just what we just did, creating an HTML form for book uploads, handling form submissions with PHP, storing book details in the MySQL database, and retrieving the display, right? Okay, so escape here. The next file we are going to create is actually this index .html file. So let me actually show you here. Now, one thing, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or maybe I had forgotten. Any website which you create, it should have an index.html or index.php file. And if you do that, then when you open your website, you don't have to give, for example, here we are saying /uploads.php, right? If you have an index file, then you don't have to give this. And by default, it starts to take that index.php or index.html file. That's the default file it takes. So as our next step, we are going to create the index file. We're going to save that onto the server. And in that, we are going to, so if I go to my different website here, we should have something like this, right? Here we are saying select a book to chat with. We'll drop in a drop down, we'll show all our books to the user so that the user can select and they can chat with that book. And we also have a link to upload this we already just wrote, but we are going to just call that file .php file in our index.php. This would not work right now. This is the last thing we'll do after the index.php is done. Okay, now also this is a very simple, because this is a class, we can't complete the whole thing, but this is a very simple UI. You can extend your index.php to do something like that, something like this, right? So you can have use CSS or style sheet to show your book instead of drop down. So here we are doing it a drop down. You could say use a style sheet to show your books in, let's say, in a tabular format like that. So all of that, again, depending on how interested you are, you can continue making the changes and creating something very similar to this. But for the class, let's do the simple version, which is this. Let me walk you through the code. So again, we will create our database connection. You have your local host, your username, password, and your database connection here. We will make the connection to the database. Now this time we'll select and get the file as the first thing, right? And the data from the books in a SQL query. We'll make the connection. Now, if you see, we are starting with the HTML, which is the HTML tag, book chat. And here is where I have the code to select a book to chat with, right? That's the first thing we have written. You can H1 or you can use any of the heading tags or anything. Now, in this case, we are going to actually use the form. If you remember in uploads.php, we created a form, but that form was to take user's input and do something, right? In this case, we are going to use the form again, and this is our form. The user input is going to be a drop-down. And then in HTML, if you guys remember, you had maybe in your class earlier, you have learned, HTML has a tag called select. Okay, that select closes here. And within this select, this is a drop-down, multi-select or multi-drop-down value. We are going to get the data because it's not a static data, right? So we are going to call PHP server side and use the results from this query. See here result, if it has number of rows greater than 0, then while those we are fetching each record, and we are actually echoing into as an option in the select statement. Let's go back again to our this example DB yesterday, which you did. In the while statement, when we were getting each record, we were just echoing it, right, as one after the other recording here. Today, what we are doing is very similar, but instead of echoing it on the UI, we are echoing it as an option within that select. Okay, and we are bringing all rest of the data. So what that would do is it's echoing the data in a drop-down format. Again, this is basic HTML, so I think several of you are proficient in HTML. You should already know this. It's just the PHP which is showing you how to add that data in here. Okay, and if you don't have any book, it's just going to display no books available. So this index.php is making the database connection. bringing the data from the database, bringing the records for books table, which we created earlier. When the user selects here, right, instead of a submit button, which we saw in uploads.php earlier, here we want to make we want to do an action as soon as the user selects this option. So that is why this whole select dropdown is inside a form, and form has an action which is chat.php, another page which we will be creating. This is where we'll call the OpenAI and sending the method as post. Okay, and then at the end we just created the link to upload a new book, which is our uploads.php. So instead of user to, earlier we were clicking here and going into uploads.php, we don't want the user to do that. That link is inside our current page. So if the user clicks on this, they go back to the upload and new book. Okay, so this is our simple index.php. We make the connection. We give the database information, make the connection, write a simple HTML. But inside a form, we put the select and display the values. So let's do that. Create your file. Let me again take this guy out, put it here, this, and send you this file. Everyone. PHP. I'm going to send it to all of you guys. So let's take another 10-15 minutes to finish this exercise. Everything is in front of your screen. Try to do that. I will stop or pause, but feel free to ask questions. And as you are done, please put it on the chat. As you guys are doing this, I would say take a few minutes to try to understand the code also. If you have questions, let me know, but make sure you are also understanding it, what's going on in here, right? Yeah, I see Pranav, Shraddha works. That's good. Sakshi, okay, that's good. I hope you guys are also understanding what the code is doing. Now, the chat with this book should not be working for you. It should be giving an error to you guys, right? Because we haven't written this chat.php yet. So other folks, I think I'm hearing on the chat only from few folks. Are others able to follow what we are doing here, or lots of folks who have joined? I'm hoping you guys are understanding. If not, I mean, this is the time you can ask questions. Hopefully everyone has I mean, you are logged in, so I'm hoping you have access to a computer and are able to follow what we are doing here. Okay, Chinmay is done. Manshu is done. I would say while others are doing, the people who have done it are have finished. Maybe you can play around with uh, make some changes. I think maybe H1 to H2 or whatever you guys are comfortable with. Try playing around with the code. Since you are in the class anyway and you are waiting for others to finish, you can play around with your code. So I think, let me ask Pranav, you have done the node.js. Is it on a website? You still create the index.html file, right? I'm assuming for whatever project you did, you had an index.html file. Okay, somewhat different. Yeah, the code would be different, but if it's for an application like a iPhone or Android app, yeah, I understand the file would be different, but that's fine. That's fine. On a website, the index file should always be there, either an HTML or a PHP. Let's give few more minutes for others to complete. I'm hoping everyone is actually following it and doing the exercise also. So while others are working through this, Are you guys all connected from your homes or are you in the college right now? Maybe a couple of you can reply. Okay. Okay. And today, I think it's Saturday. So do you have classes today or is it weekend? Okay. Classes are going to start in a few days. Okay. Good. Just a session to attend at the college. Okay. And then mostly you're from home. Okay. Okay, what are the mock interviews for? Are they for job or for internships? Shubham? Jobs, okay. Okay, so right now the classes are not started and probably these kind of trainings or mock interviews are going on. Okay, good, good. That's good. Okay, I think I'm hoping whoever is actually doing the exercise with me here would have finished by now. Others, please continue. I will be sending the recording of this meeting, and hopefully you have downloaded the files I've been sending in the meeting. Okay, so now we've created an index.php, which is this. We have added. Oh, sorry, let me.
लेट सांगतो यार.
Okay. So we have created an index.php where we have HTML embedded within index within PHP, and we have our list of the books. We can upload a new book. So as many books we want, we can upload. The last thing, which is the most interesting and exciting, and where the magic is happening, is, and for what you guys have been attending this course, is this chat with this book, right? So when you click on any of this book, and when you click on this, we want a chat.php or a page to appear where the user can ask a question, and we call the API endpoint from ChatGPT, and we get a response. So that's the next we are going to look at. Using that, you can create any kind of API call and any kind of application or tool. So let's get to that one. That is the final file in here. Okay. So we are going to again so when we click on send, it's going to call our chat.php. We are going to make our database connection. Now, one of the things yesterday I mentioned to you is instead of in each PHP file making this database connection, you should actually have this in a single separate file somewhere and then just call that file inside your all the files, right? Instead of doing it in separate files. One of the things that does is if you have to move this project from, let's say, one server to another, you don't have to change or maintain every piece of code to make the database connection values, right? You keep it in one place and just include that in rest of your file. So it's easy for maintaining. But anyway, we are going to make the connection just like we did earlier. We are going to get our list of files again. We already looked at bind parameter, and we are going to get the data. Now, in this case, what we want to do is get the book name, the author of the book, and the description. These three things are what we are going to send to ChatGPT. Actually, not ChatGPT, OpenAI, right? Which is, we saw the difference between ChatGPT and OpenAI on day one. What we are going to do is take these three things, send it to OpenAI API, and ask the question to it. Basically, we are sending a prompt, which is what you might have heard about prompt engineering and prompt. That is what we are going to send to OpenAI and bring back the data from the OpenAI API. In the latest version of OpenAI, you can provide two things to OpenAI. One is what is the role you want it to play, and then what is the actual prompt which we are sending. So let's first look at the prompt which we are sending, and then I'll explain the role also. The content, which is the actual prompt, you can write whatever you want in here. Whatever you have in here is what is going to go to the OpenAI API, and the result would come back. This is very similar to, if we go back to our chat here, when you are chatting on this, right, when you're saying hi, or let's say, what is the book Lord of the Rings is about, right? When you are sending that question, this is behind the scenes chat GPT is doing what we are going to be doing now in our code, right? It's going to create the prompt and send the prompt to the base chat model. We are just simulating that inside our code. So instead of that simple prompt, I'm just saying you are an expert on the book, and this is the book name we just retrieved, right? So the latest book which the user selected. So if I'm going back here, so based on the book which I have selected, I got that book name. I'm sending that to the prompt, and I'm saying you are an expert on the book, $book name, the current book, and its author, $author, right? This is the author here. Here is a brief description of the book. We are also giving the description, which we just received from our table. And then the rest of the things which we want to maybe help ChatGPT or OpenAI to answer. So I'm saying here, answer the following questions in a concise and relevant manner. Now, very important, I think you might have heard about prompt engineering, and the answers are as good as your prompts are, right? So in this case, you would see that if you don't do this, then it may start giving you a lot of data, maybe like if the question is, hey, tell me, summarize the book, right? If that's the question you are asking, it may actually create a summary which is maybe 10 or 15 paragraphs long. So we want it to not use a lot of tokens from our, and I think I talked about tokens in the parameters yesterday or day before. So we want it to be very concise and relevant matter. Also, maybe if you see like when the user is chatting with the book and they are asking any profanity or any bad questions, probably we can skip, we can let our API at least know that avoid any inappropriate language. We are also saying if the user question is to the author of the book, then answer the question as $author, right? The current author. Here, again, you can do whatever you want. So I'm just saying, hey, do not call yourself as AI or chatbot at any time. Do not reply as AI, always reply as the author, right? So whenever the user is asking a question, it will reply saying, I'm the author of the book and I'm answering your question. In addition, you can also provide a role to the system. I have seen we have used the role in various formats. Sometimes, let's say you are creating system for, let's say, healthcare, right? I had shown you our systems on Call Express earlier and Physician Express. We use the role to define, to tell it that you are a pediatrician or you are a doctor or whatever, right? A psychiatrist or whoever. So you can use the role that way. You can also enter the portion of that role in your content in here. I'm going to pause here. Any questions at this point before we continue on the next step? Okay, I hope you guys are still awake. This prompt is going to be your actual crux of what you are, whenever you are writing any project, any tool, any app, this is going to be very, very important for you to understand. Understand what the project is about, what the results should be coming, and how you are going to write this prompt. Okay? Okay, so if there are no questions, I'm hoping you guys understood this part. This is where your most of the magic would happen. And this prompt is very important for you to write that. Okay, and then we are just doing some troubleshooting in here. If the question itself is, let me look here. So if the user has not asked any question, then we are just saying your role is user. And actually, let me see. Yeah, so I think if there are multiple messages, that's what it's doing. It's an array here of multiple messages they are getting created. Now, once we have created our message which needs to go, the next thing is this API key. So now we are going to make the call to ChatGPT or sorry, OpenAPI. This is where our key would be used. If you guys have created a key, we can use that. If not, let me know on the chat here. I will give you this key, but I'll keep this key only open for maybe a couple of days, right? So I don't want to for you to maybe by mistake use it somewhere else. So after maybe a couple of days, it will not work for you guys. But I'm hoping you have your own keys and you can update your key in here. Okay, so for now, when I send the code, I will not send this to you. But if you are interested and you don't have a key, I'll give it to you separately on the chat here. Actually, and also this one, right? So both of them I will remove. Okay. So anyway, if you see, I actually was using two keys in here. This is how we comment a code. So this is the one which we are going to use. And then the third part, which is very important, is the URL of the endpoint on OpenAI, which you are calling. Right? In this case, we are calling api.openai.com/version1 of API for chat /completion. So this you will be writing as is exactly on your code. And after we are done this file, I'll actually go back to slides and I'll walk you through some other endpoints which can be used in your projects for other things like fine-tuning the model and other things. Okay, but for now, for this course, once you give your API key, put this is the exact URL. Next is the data. We are telling which model. We are telling OpenAPI which model to use. So this is where you would provide the actual model. If you have that your 4.0, you can put 4.0 here, GPT 4.0 instead of 3.5 turbo. Okay, and any new models which will start coming from ChatGPT or OpenAI, you can add them in here. And if you see what we are saying, the data consists of what model we want to call and what message to send. And this dollar message is actually coming from here. Okay, so let me repeat. We are constructing our prompt, which is based on the current data the user has selected. That's why you see these variables here. We are telling it who we are, meaning our API key, so that it knows whose account to build or basically use. And then we are telling it which API endpoint to call, what model to use, and all of this is now constructed, okay, between these lines. The next step is, once we have constructed all of this, we need to send this to ChatGPT or OpenAI. So by default, Vishaka, is there a question? Can you maybe unmute yourself, write it, or put it on your put on this chat? Vishaka, right? I see you raised your hand. Is there a question? Oh, no. Okay. Maybe that was by mistake. Okay. So the next step is we are going to send whatever we created here, the prompt, the versions, etc., to OpenAI. Curl is one way in PHP to send. Let me actually ask. I think Pranav, you use Node.js. Have you? And I think you called your chat GPT, right? And did you use curl or something else to make the call? Maybe you can reply on the chat here. Do you remember what you used? Maybe if you do enter maybe in the chat and you look at the code and let me know. So anyway, let's go back here. So curl is a way to connect between two servers. We convert into JSON format and directly show on the console. Yeah, that's correct when the response comes, Pranav. But I think for the response to come, you have to first send, do the handshake, right? And curl is used to send to this URL in here. So OpenAI URL, we are using curl to send to that URL. So I'm sure in your code somewhere you're using something to send to that URL. So sir, we directly use Axios. Okay. 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 That's fine. And then you get the result in JSON format and you show the results. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. So here, at least for our course, we are going to use curl. We are using the URL, which is our AI completions, right? That URL is what we are sending in curl. And there are a few options which we are setting. I think for now, these are not important. You can just copy them as is, so we don't need to go and look at each one of those. But as I think Pranav was showing in his code or telling about Node.js, we are going to JSON encode the data which we are sending. So this, if you see, this is a JSON format, right? But it's in a string. So we are going to encode this into JSON, and we are going to send our API key using authorization. Okay, and this the whole thing we are going to execute curl. $ch was the curl in it, and we are going to get the response back after executing the curl, which is going to connect between the two servers. Okay, we are going to do some error handling, that if there is no response, then we are going to say the error. But if there is a response, we are going to get, actually this is also still error handling. If it is not 200, then we are giving an error. We are closing our curl, and here we are going to decode JSON decode, right? So the response which is coming from our API, we are going to decode that JSON, and then within that response, we are going to take the first part, choices.0, because choices is where the result is coming, right? If there is, and this is an if else condition here, we are going to display that result, or if there is no result, then we are going to say no response. Any questions? This is the basically the crux of the course. So I'm hoping you guys are understanding this part. If not, maybe let me know. One thing I would mention here, this is all commented, but let me walk you through what this code is doing, and you are welcome to maybe create this part of the code later today or tomorrow or whenever you want. Let's say once the user has, and when we say hi and the response is coming, what if I want to store that response into a log file? This is very useful when maybe, let's say we have hundreds or thousands of users on our book chat. If I can get what question they are asking, and I can also get the response back, then later I can do a data mining or aggregating to see what kind of questions are asked per book, right? So I can say for my Blue Zone solutions, what are the questions the users are asking? Or for maybe a fictional book, what are the kinds of questions users are asking? So this is like something later you can do an add-on if you want to do a smaller another project, right? So let me go back here. So this is just showing the code that if you created another table called book chat logs, book ID, what is the question and what was the answer and when was it asked. Now that we have the question and we have the answer, we can even insert that. But for now, the code is commented because we didn't create this table. So this is just showing you what else you can do with this kind of code. Okay. The rest of this is easy. Now let's go back to here. The rest of the code is easy, where it's just making this form. If you look at chat with, let's see, bring it here so that I don't have to keep moving this too much. So here it is chat with, and using PHP, I'm just giving the book name, right? So chat with whatever book was selected, chat with the whole 30, or if I go to Blue Zones, chat with that book, maybe, yeah, the Blue Zones solution, right? So it's giving which book we are chatting with. And then there is a form. Now, if you see here, it's calling the same chat.php again. Input text area for the user to write their question. And then there is a submit, which is saying send. Very similar to we just created a form for uploading the book, right? So that is what this is doing. And then it has some error handling, but then at the end, it's going back to book selection, which is index.php. So that whole code is what is being done here, and it goes back. We select another book, chat with that book, so chat with Lord of the Rings. And the actual chat magic which is happening, that is all here. Here. Okay, so that is the very important part of the course. But if you understand this part, you can write any kind of projects. The main thing is understanding how to write the prompt. The prompt is always based on what is the current project which you are doing. This is very important because this is what the context of ChatGPT is using. And as I said earlier, ChatGPT is nothing more than looking at what the question or the context is being asked and trying to give you the next word in a sentence or in a paragraph. So based on this, it's going to go and think through its base LLM and start writing your answers. Okay, so let me just take one more minute to repeat what all I said. And if there are any questions, we can discuss those. So important thing, providing the prompt. In this case, we are creating our prompt on the fly based on some variables, book name, description, author, etc. Right? And author. Yeah. The second important thing is your API key, which is specific to your or your project's account. The third very important thing is which URL you are calling in API. And the fourth important thing is which model you are calling. Those four things are important, and then you have your rest of the code, which is simple HTML or PHP or Node.js or whatever. Any questions? No? Okay. So let me save this. Let me send this file to you guys. Actually, let me remove my database connections here. Okay. Okay, so I'll give another 10 minutes to everyone to read through that chat.php file, understand, write the code, and create your simple chatbot chatting with the book. But feel free to ask questions as you are trying to understand this. Let me know on the chat as you guys are finishing this exercise. And also if there are any questions, feel free to unmute or ask in the chat. Okay, yeah, I think I was supposed to send my API key to everyone. Let me put that. So, Chinmay, I have sent you the key. You should be able to use that. And let me know if it works or not. So, Siddharth, I think, Sahani Siddharth, I have sent you the key. So, Shraddha, I sent you my key. Try copying that. Okay, Chinmay, so it seems to be working for you. That's good. Yes, Shraddha, it works for you also. That's good. Ajay, I think recording may not give you the files. I can send those. Are, are you able to download them in the chat today? I think the three files which we worked, okay, yeah, please do that because the three files which we worked on today are the most important files. The ones which we did yesterday were some examples just to learn, but yeah. Okay, but if you still need it, just ping me on Slack channel. Uh, I will forward this to you. But hopefully the three today is what you need. For now, I have sent you the key, so you can try that. Okay, are people still working on it? I think anyone who was asking for the key, I have given it to them. Hopefully, others are able to connect using their own keys. If not, do let me know. And if you are working on it later today, feel free to ping me on WhatsApp and I will give you the key or any other questions. Now, the only thing is it's going to be midnight in half an hour here once we close the session. So I may be only able to answer your questions by morning, which would be your evening. Okay, so how about we continue on? Okay, Ajay, so it is working, good. Okay, so let's continue in the interest of time, but feel free to ask any questions later today or tomorrow. So let's go back to this chat.php. I will walk you guys through it once more, just so that it is again clear to you. The main things important here were this prompt. Prompt engineering is a big thing now. People are earning good money on prompt engineering. Your project is as good as the prompt you are going to send to ChatGPT or OpenAI. So think of that. What is the current project? What kind of prompt it should be? How dynamic the prompt should be? That is the most important thing. That is what would change in every project. That would also is the skill you are building as you getting into Gen AI and OpenAI. Okay, very important here. The second thing, which is just needed as part of housekeeping, is your API key, which you have to create. What endpoint you are going to call, and I'll walk you through a few more endpoints which are available, and then what model you are going to call. 3.5, 4.0, or anything else which would be coming new. Those are the important things. Rest of the things we just use maybe Perl or PHP or HTML in this course, but you are welcome to use any other technology which maybe your internship would ask or your job would ask or your project would ask. But anything you can use. Okay, if that is clear, let's go to the old one. Let's go to the API. Okay, so we did an introduction already. We already had set up an API, and then we created the chat interface today. So just a few maybe theoretical things. Key features of Chat GPT API is easy integration. As we saw, we just need to call a URL, but rest of the things are important, the prompts, etc. Right? Supports multiple programming languages. We use PHP, HTML, but you can use any other language. You can customize your response, and it's also scalable and reliable. This we already did. You actually created your open API, and then we used Perl, but you can use anything else. And I think some of you mentioned what you had used. Okay, so we did all this. We did this. We created the authorization, and we sent the prompt. So all of that worked. This one is done, and we did a practical example. Okay, so as I was telling you, I am going to show you a few more endpoints. We close this and this. Okay, so we used this one. which is generate conversational responses in a chat format. This is the one we just used, V1, chat completion. There are a few more endpoints which can be used. So there is, I think OpenAPI.com V1 completion text based on the provided prompt. So yeah, this is more like a chat format output, but there is also if you give the prompt directly. So for example, if you remember, let me actually show you guys. If you remember yesterday or first day, I had shown you this product we have. This is a healthcare product. Okay. I think I am actually traveling right now, so my IP address has changed. But so I may not be able to log in. I think if you remember, I had shown you here, we sent a prompt to Chat GPT or OpenAI asking a question for patient triage and just got the answer. We were not actually doing a chat there. We were not chatting with the API. We were just sending it a prompt and getting a response. So that is what this API or this endpoint does. It's not in a chat format. It's just basically giving you the answer back. Okay, let me see chat open. Oops. No, not that. Chat open. So in case you have questions. And slideshow, current slide. Oh, wrong. This, sorry. Let's go back here. Current slide. Okay, so that's the second one, which based on the prompt you have sent, but not in a chat format. Edit text based on instructions. So if you remember, I sent on the WhatsApp a few project ideas. One of them was creating or editing the text or content. So for that, you would call this endpoint. Rest everything will remain same, your prompts and API keys, etc. We'll just call a different endpoint in your program. Or maybe embeddings to representations, vector representation of text for various natural language processing tasks, right? So this is where maybe you are conversing with it, or maybe you are wanting to convert maybe from one language to other language. You can create call this API key, API version. Okay. Okay. A few more endpoints. So if you are using 4.0 and you want to create some images, then this is the endpoint you will call. Just the name of the endpoints are different, and then based on that prompt will be also different. Right? You would say, I want to create an image for, let's say, a village or country or whatever. You create that. If you have to fine tune, now hopefully you guys know what fine tuning means. If not, then put it on chat and I'll discuss a little bit more. But then fine tuning is when you want to tune Chat GPT's model based on your own data. So for example, we want to, in our healthcare product, we want to tune it based on our patient data or our own data. Then we can call the API, give it the data, and ask it to fine tune that data. So this is a different API version for that. Or like in 4.0, we can now upload files. So there is API call for that. or what is the last one I have here? Okay, retrieve the status and content of uploaded files, right? So for example, if I upload a CSV file and I want it to create a graph or maybe retrieve the content, so then this is the endpoint you will call. I hope this is easily understandable. Please let me know if there is a question. But these are just basically the endpoints on ChatGPT on your program where you will replace the current endpoint with any of these based on your project. I think I have one more slide here where in addition to ChatGPT, there are other APIs also available. So for example, instead of OpenAI API, you can actually use Google. Google has a natural language NLP API. So I have provided that in here. I'll send these details to you in the slides. IBM has one, building conversational interfaces. Most of the people or projects are using OpenAI, but there are others available. So Microsoft Azure has one, building language models for NLP. Google, of course, has one, building conversational interfaces. So you can use any of these, but of course you'll have to create the API keys for each one of them, whichever you're using, and then make the call. Okay. Okay. So I think that is the end of the current course. Let me see. Are there any questions from anyone? Okay, so I think data disappeared. I don't know. Okay, so Ajay, I will send it to you. Can you ping me on WhatsApp? So I'll just send the files to you. So, sure. Any questions on the sessions? I think because you guys are good in HTML databases, we were able to combine. This was going to be 5 sessions, but since you are final year students, we were able to finish them in 3 sessions. Hopefully you learned something, and I hope I have sent you a couple projects, so I'm hoping you will try them. And also, if there is an interest, I will send some information about the internships we have. As I said, we would like you to take a test first. The test is actually because we have to monitor the test and do a few more things. So the test is actually paid, but if you don't, that's fine. But if you're interested, let me know. And based on the test scores, we can have a few internship projects for you guys. That is all from my side. I will wait here if there is any question anyone wants, maybe final thoughts, questions, ideas, anything you want to discuss. If not, then I will send the recording of this session, and hopefully you guys learned something. Please feel free to ask me any questions. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good rest of your day and year. Bye.